Welcome to the channel for the first time viewers. Welcome back from my existing subscribers. Today we're going to go over my review of Far Cry 5. This is a game that I was very into back when it first came out, and I still think that it's a pretty good game. So we're going to go ahead and touch base on some of the graphics, the gameplay, and just the overall feel of Far Cry 5. First, let me tell you, as you probably saw on the slide, I played this game on PC. Before the game release, I had made a quick video about the advantages of playing the game on PC versus PS4 or Xbox One X, and the graphics were pretty much more customizable, and I had a feeling that it would be locked to 30 frames per second on console. So with that information, I just went ahead and got the game on PC. I ran it on a Ryzen 5 1400 and a MSI RX 580. So first, let's go ahead and start with one of the strong points of Far Cry 5, which is the graphics. It's a very good looking game, especially when you're out in the woods. The trees have a lot of details, and I was able to run this game at about 60 frames per second. Usually it would range within 55 to 60 on high settings. Given the console variant is only locked at 30, that's a better experience for me from that perspective. I didn't have any kind of game crashes, which is what I'm starting to find out a big deal on PC apparently. With my current build, I had a lot of issues with just new games that I play. However, on Far Cry 5, you throw it in there. I was able to throw it on high settings. The RAM usage was fine. And I mean, it looks good. It's a good looking game. It's not the best looking game to ever come out, but overall, as far as polish and landscape and texture details, it's a good game as far as that goes. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the story. What you're looking at right now is the opening scene of Far Cry 5. You're essentially a rookie cop thrown into this open world, and John Seed is pretty much the bad guy. You have a hierarchy of his family members, three other members that you pretty much take out their territories like most open world games, and you do that by doing the side missions, doing the main missions, and just completing tasks within that region. Eventually you take it over, you get a boss fight, one section done. So they do that 3 times, and then you finally get over to the big boss, which is Mr. Seed himself. You go out, you do your thing. I don't want to give any spoilers, but you do your thing, and the game kind of ends in like a kind of way. It's interesting, but the beginning of the game is very, very, very strong. And because it follows this open world formula, it doesn't really try to hold your hand. And I feel like if they kind of guided you a little bit more, the story would make more sense, because you'd have like a specific narrative that you'd follow. You have to do this and then this and this and this and this and this and this. But instead, they kind of just say, here's the beginning, now it's open, go do your thing, pick where you want to go. And that's not a bad thing. But if they made you do either per region or, you know, certain levels to each region, and then you have to kind of work on the other regions, the game would make a lot more sense. Because as I found through my playthrough, later on, you have some parts that kind of shouldn't exist because you already dealt with it on another region after you completed it. Because what I did is I just played one section at a time until I got to the final fight scene. So with that said, that is the story in a nutshell without giving you details. It's an open world game. You're gonna be doing objectives. You're gonna be, you know, there's some cool things that you can do on the side. The side missions are pretty cool, and the characters that the game presents are semi-polished. They're not just generic NPCs. You have like a group of people that are kind of disposable, and then you have another group of NPCs that are actually you have actual characters in there. So I like that aspect of it, although I did not use most of them. When I did use them, they were very useful, and if they die, you can if they get down, you can revive them, and if they die, then you can reuse them later on. Versus some of the other people that you just find out there, they kind of just, it doesn't really matter because they're not really story impacting. There's no side missions, they're just there. So that essentially is, like I said, the story without the spoilers. Most importantly about any video game is the video game fun? And Far Cry 5 is fun. I didn't play any of the co-op because I just wanted to experience this game on my own. It does support a co-op mode where you can do the entire campaign together. It has an online component. From what I've seen from the community members, it's not the best, so I wouldn't necessarily go out and get this game so that you can play team deathmatch after you're done beating the game, because this isn't really that type of game. Although it has a really cool map editor, it lets you use assets from other games like Assassin's Creed and The Division, but like I said, it's not really multiplayer focused. It's more co-op story and individual get the story done focused. And that's also why I haven't gone back to it since I've beaten it. Because after you experience the story, in my opinion, you can play it back. If you didn't finish the side missions, you can go ahead and do those. And just like I said about the pacing of if you complete a region, how some of the things don't make sense. If you don't finish everything in an area first, and then you go back and beat the game, and you go to do side missions, they talk about these people like they're still alive. So that's kind of something that it is what it is. It's just part of the game. It's a video game. We don't want it to be too realistic, but if they had flushed that out, maybe used past tense when they were referencing some of these characters, it'd be a little bit better. Overall, I would definitely say that Far Cry 5 is worth your time. It is a solid game with good graphics, very good controls as far as PC goes. They have some mechanics as far as bullet dropping, and it's pretty customizable. You have your key binding, which I didn't know wasn't a thing until I played some games that don't offer key binding. They just offer control layouts. That blows my mind. But it offers the ability to bind your keys so that if you play other games, you don't have to relearn an entire control scheme again. You just kind of, okay, I'm used to pressing this button to make this happen. You kind of have that right there at your disposal. And the terrain is very nice. There's some funny glitches in the game. Just a little side note, there's some funny glitches, but nothing too game breaking or something that's going to ruin your time. So overall, I would give this game a 7 out of 10. And I definitely say that if you aren't really a big Far Cry fan, or you don't really like open world games, but you are looking at this review, maybe wanting to get this game in the future, then it would be something that you could pick up on sale and you wouldn't regret it. But if you are a Far Cry fan and you haven't gotten this game yet, then having played the last 3 Far Cry games, I'm late to the franchise, but having played the last 3 Far Cry games, this is my favorite so far because the setting is relatable. The guns are really cool. There's not a lot of them, but they're really cool. The ones that they do have, there's a lot of customization to do in the game, and you're kind of free to do your own thing, if you know what I mean, as far as the Far Cry world goes. And that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and let me know if you end up getting the game, or if you already have it, then let me know in the comment section what you think about it or anything I may have missed. And you guys be easy. I'll catch you in the next one.